Hey guys, thanks for joining me. I'm going to be talking pretty quick right now, only because I tried to do the video as I did the work and it turned out to be just a really long video. So first off, I'm not a very good video editor. This is my first time doing this, so I'm going to be having voiceovers, sped up clips, things like that. It's going to be clunky, so just bear with it. I don't want you guys sitting at your computer all day, and hopefully the point can get across and you guys can do what you want to do as well, and be happy with the end result. Anyways, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to run Ethernet from my basement up into my attic so that I can actually route Ethernet throughout my house. I have a basement, a main floor, and a second floor, so I have to actually get through 2 levels. I have some little things that I did, some tips and tricks, and I'm going to try and link as much as I can in the video in the descriptions. If I forget, I apologize. But anyways, what I wanted to show you really quick here before I get into the video's editing portion is those things. First off, I would wear safety goggles or safety glasses while you do this stuff, because if you're drilling up through drywall, drilling up through wood, and you get stuff in your eye, that really sucks. So the other thing I did is I basically used bore bits for a lot of it. And I also used this other thing right here, so bear with me for a quick sec, trying to make it quick. It is a 12-inch extension, and I have another bit on the end of that, and I will get into the video when I use this as well. So something else I did was I had some fishing wire, if you could see here, and I had a glow stick at the end of it, and this is one of those lifeline glow sticks, so it has a flashlight also attached to the end of it. That was so I could actually see in the holes that are drilled, because I'm in between the walls, I'm in cavities and stuff like that, and so I needed to see what I was doing. And then to make sure I wasn't drilling into nothing I didn't want to drill into, I actually stole this from another guy. He uses piano wire, and he tapes duct tape to the end of this piano wire here so that the drill chuck can actually grip it. And then he drills through the wall, tries to find the piano wire, and then that way he can kind of get a location of where he's at if he's going to be drilling into anything. I did have trouble sometimes seeing the piano wire, so I did make an extra long one, so I would suggest doing that too. And then lastly, before I get into the video, you could probably do this on a piece of paper with your hand, writing down notes as much as you can, but I ended up pulling up some CAD software, and I made a drill template. That way I could kind of put it in the same spot going up through the house, and so I had a straight shot as much as I could. Don't know about my village code. I don't think I have to use rigid tubing. I'm hoping I can use some kind of ENT, Smurf pipe, something like that. But if I have to use rigid tube, I obviously want it to be as straight as I can, the path. So that's why I ended up doing this. So this, like I said, I had one PVC pipe here, another one here, and I had an air duct that I had to work with on my route, which I'll show you. And so that's kind of what I used for my template. So bear with me, it's going to be a long video, but hopefully by the end of it, you guys are happy, and we get a lot done here.
Okay, so this is just an overview of my current internet setup and what I plan to do with the internet and how to route the Ethernet. Anyways, what it shows is my circuit breaker panel. I have an ONT box from AT&T, a gateway, which I currently have in bypass mode, and I have an additional router, which you don't see. I try to use the coax system that was built into the house, but the hole was too tight, so then I used the air ducts to try and find a separate route, and I landed on the radon pipe, and I knew the radon pipe went up into the attic. So that was the route I took. I followed that radon pipe PVC along with a different PVC and an air duct, which is what I used the template for, as you see throughout the video. So, and what you see me point up to here in the staircase here is the access panel that I made, so I can drill from the first floor up into the second floor. All I'm explaining here right now is just how I used the piano wire to drill through and make sure I wasn't hitting anything, and how it wasn't my original idea. And hopefully I can post the YouTube video in my description about the guy who originally did it. So, but long story short, I attach some duct tape to the end so the chuck grabs it, and then you drill through the hole. So, and I'll do a demonstration here in a minute. So here's the demonstration. I'm just explaining how there's nothing on the other side of the wall, so this is a good test spot. I ended up trying to use a terminal ring so I wouldn't actually have to grip the wire, but it proved that it didn't really work out.
So I'll show you guys what I got going on. Drill. The piano wire's already in the chuck. I'm going to put the terminal ring here for stability. So, and I'm literally just going to It should. I'll show you guys. Here, hold on. So radon pipe's right up here going up. I'm going to start with my first drill actually going right through here, and I think I'm going to pop out on the other side of the stairwell. These air ducts, I'm actually going to go up here real quick and just shove my head down one of them, and I'll film that here because I'm going to go up there and I'm just going to see if there's any turns, and then once I figure out if there isn't any, I'm going to figure out, I think this is the second floor one, but I'm going to figure it out. I might throw fish tape down the duct and see if I can like tink it right here or something, so we'll see.
All I'm doing here is showing where the air duct is on the second floor. So
it's big enough for my head, so I'm gonna throw on a headlight and see if I can see down it. I'm not gonna put the phone up there because I don't. Last thing I want to do is drop it down there. So maybe I'll film myself shoving my head in there, but we'll see. Okay, so it looks like it easily goes down 20 feet and then takes a turn that way, which seems about right based off of what it does in the basement. So I'm thinking this is a straight shot down into the basement. So this might be a good route to do the pipe, whether I do it to the side of it over here or behind it or something, I don't know. And then I can get in through the attic and fish it from there. So this is really promising. So I'm liking this right now.
I ended up having my wife help me with this part. We shoved the fish wire down the same one that I put my head down just to see if we could hear it and see if it was the correct pipe that I need to correlate with. And as you can hear, it is that air duct right there. So that was really good news.
Okay, so it's definitely that one that's on the second floor after what we just did. So that's good. That means that this spits up and goes that way a little bit, which means I might be able to go in front of it a bit or back behind it by the radon pipe. I'll have to check up in the attic what that and this might look like, although I don't think I'll see this once I'm in the attic, but I know I'll see that, so we'll see.
So this giant sped up section is basically just me drilling a bunch of piano wire through different parts of the walls and different parts of the ceilings just to map out where I'm going to put the access panel. And actually, I think I walked basically the whole radon pipe up into the attic and then try and find it within the attic. So that's basically what's going on throughout this whole little sped up section. Okay, so what happened is when I went up into the attic, the radon pipe was supposed to be to the left, but it actually was right here in front of me. And I could tell it was due to convenience purposes because that electrical box is right there, and so that's how you would install and hook up a fan. But as you notice, the radon pipe goes over to the left, and I later on uncover it, all the insulation, and find that it is right next to that other PVC pipe, and below it is the air duct.
So I'm gonna hop up here and kind of move some of the insulation around and see if I can find out where this goes down. And then I might take a piano wire from that air duct outside and drill up into the ceiling and see if I can find it in the attic up here. So
this sped up portion was me actually just looking at it from the basement and visualizing it as it goes through the walls, which I suggest you do. But it allowed me to line up the way I was in the attic and see how the pipes went up, and to basically just find what I thought was fair game, what wouldn't have any obstructions going all the way up. So, and most likely the ejector pump piping, which is what I indicated there, and the radon piping wouldn't have anything in their way. So, and obviously the air duct doesn't because I shoved my head down the tube. So,
and I can kind of think that if there's nothing here or here in between this area in the attic, and since there's nothing here, unless there's some random thing that crosses paths with all this, this little patch of plywood is fair game. So that's, and I only need about an inch or two. So, and I can run hopefully all the way up if there's no second floor plywood. So that's hopeful.
So same as before, this is me drilling piano wire up into the attic at this point, and me trying to find it through all the insulation. That's so I can see where the center of the duct is as it relates to the PVC pipe, so that I can make my template properly. And you know, you'll see me make the template here in a little bit, but that's so that I can lay it down, know exactly where to drill the hole, and go into that second floor cavity right there. So this is me talking about the template, how I made it, just what the idea was behind it, and then this is a picture of me shoving it up from the basement up into the ceiling of the basement floor. So
that's where I'm drilling right there. Now, depending on how the attic looks, I might move this in that way, this way. Just depends. This can float a little bit, but it's kind of what I'm thinking right there. So we'll see what the attic looks like.
this is just me running through what I'm bringing with me up into the attic: the light, piano wire, template, cover plate drill, etc. So, and as you can see, there's the template installed. It looks good. What I'm explaining right now is I'm explaining that I'm going to be drilling the piano wire first to make sure I don't hit anything when I actually do the drilling. So, and as you can see, I put the piano wire in. I didn't hit anything, so I'm comfortable to drill the hole, and you'll see that here in a minute with the cover plate installed.
Okay, so I drilled about a 1-inch hole, and the piece dropped through, but it didn't fall 20 feet, so that means that there's something before the basement, which, okay, probably not too unexpected, but I did install this little cover plate so that when I'm not working on it, I can just kind of close it. If I end up not using this, I'll put another 3 on here, close it up. So
this was the whole purpose behind the fish wire and the glow stick, was just so I can put it down the hole, see what I'm working with, see what's around it. So it provides a nice visual, and I will say it actually does a really, really nice job. So this is something I would highly suggest somebody do if they should pursue doing something like this in their house as well. So you'll see here in a minute, I'm able to get a really good visual of what's down the hole, but I actually get a better visual when I'm not using the glow stick portion. I'm actually just using the flashlight portion of it. So, but that was just a trial and error thing that had happened. So.
all right, I don't know how good this video is going to be, but I guess we'll find out. So, all right, kind of cool. All right, so you can see, I'll try and move this around as best I can. I'm actually gonna turn off the glow stick and just have the flashlight feature going. I think I'll have better results. So let's see what we got here. All right. You can see the 2 pipes and the air duct. So you can see there's plenty of space right there, 8 feet down. And I wonder where that is. So we'll figure that out. So, all right, I'll pull this back up.
So here's a still shot, and I gotta say it's pretty cool seeing him inside the walls like that. But anyways, this right here, I put a piano wire up there so I could see where it popped out the stairwell right there. And when I measured 8 feet down, which is what the cavity was on the second floor in the attic, I noticed that there was about a 12-inch gap between that piano wire and the bottom of the cavity, which told me that there's probably a subfloor on the second floor and some kind of ceiling on the first floor as well, which I kind of anticipated, but this was just kind of proof, by doing the measurements and stuff like that. So now I head over to the basement to drill up through the basement ceiling. So that's what I got going on right now. I did the piano wire to make sure I wasn't hitting anything, and then I went ahead and drilled the hole. I stuck in the light and got to see what was going on in there. So, and that's what's going on here.
All right. So I actually was using the camera on the phone to see up the hole because I can't really shove my head up there because it's too tall. So I'm gonna take a picture with my phone so I can get a better idea of what I'm looking at and look at the picture and review. So we'll stay tuned.
So as you can see in the picture, it's pretty much looking like what the second floor cavity looks like, pretty wide open. So now the next step that I was going to do is put in the drywall access panel up in the stairwell that you saw earlier. And unfortunately, it's imperative that we put it in the right spot because it's going to be about an 8-inch by 8-inch section of drywall that I have to cut out. And if I don't put it in the right spot, then, that's a big chunk of drywall in the wrong spot. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in a bunch of piano wire, lining it up with both the radon pipe and the ejector pumps PVC pipe, and I'm trying to just meet in the middle, trying to put it where I want to put it. And then obviously, when I go in there with the handsaw to try and cut this drywall out, I don't want to be cutting the pipes either. So I'm just measuring, making sure I'm in the right spots. I do a reverse plumb bob, basically, up on the ladder there, which it worked pretty well, not too bad. I put a piano wire up as high as I could, and then I obviously stick the fish wire back in the hole. I take a picture to see if I can see the piano wire because I can't use my naked eye. And that's the picture that you see here. I'm zooming in on the piano wire. It's very tough to see, but it's a little faded black line right there. So, and once that's figured out, I'm basically ready to cut. But what I wanted to explain in this little portion here is the drywall access panel that I'm using. I'm not using one of the ones where you put in some compound and then you pop it out with a plastic screwdriver, with a screwdriver. I found a really nice one here at Home Depot. So
I actually found this one at Home Depot, and I feel like it's a little less destructive. It's Everbuilt. I'm going to try and show you as best I can on the camera. But anyways, this accounts for an 8x8 hole, although it looks like a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. It looks almost like a foot by foot, but backside has, I think, an 8x8. So there's a little template that it comes with here. So you place that up on the drywall. You trace it out and stuff. Cut out the hole with a handsaw or whatever, and then to put this up, you put this side in, and then it kind of holds it into place. And the way that they have this designed is they have the tabs actually left and right. And I'm not thinking I'm going to do that, because what that'll do is that'll have this sag because of gravity, which is always on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tailor this to be more like this. And so that way when I put it in, I'll push up like this, put it down, and then it'll come down. And then that way actually gravity will help keep this closed. And the only way this could shift maybe in the hole is left and right. And that'll only happen if somebody touches it or something. So that's how I'm going to put that in there.
So as we're putting up the drywall panel, it's obviously imperative that we do it right and we don't have to have any costly repairs. So something to keep in mind, obviously, is
measure twice, cut once, right? Because doing stud repair is way harder, or even if it's possible, I don't know, I'm not that kind of carpenter, but drywall repair is way easier. So if I mess up the drywall, I can repair that versus messing up any kind of studs or framework. So make sure you always measure twice, cut once. So we're going to be doing that.
I go on to explain to pick your proper size conduit that you're going to need for your Ethernet runs, and that should determine the size hole you should drill. I know I preemptively drilled about an inch size hole, but there's some different preferences on how you can route your Ethernet. You can either do one line up into the attic and have a switch up there as well, or you can have one patch panel, one switch in the basement, or multiple switches in the basement, and run multiple lines of Ethernet through the conduit going up into the attic. So I personally would rather have everything localized in one location and not have one switch in the attic. My main concern there might be temperature issues, plus, I just want to be able to access it without having to go up into the attic. So, but anyways, so what I'm doing there in the video on the ladder now is checking, triple checking, double checking that I'm not going to be hitting the studs, hitting the top frame member, hitting the PVC pipes or the air ducting. So I'm measuring, I'm actually putting the template up with painter's tape and using a level to just make sure it's level, and just marking it with pencil over and over and over again. So it's kind of been a lengthy process to do it, but I want, like I said, measure a bunch of times, only cut once, make sure I don't go too far to the left, too far to the right, and heaven forbid hit something that I can't repair. So, but once it's finally up, this is what I got going on.
All right, so I have the template sideways, like I said, because I wanted the spring to be vertical. Anyways, this wire is just below that wood frame. The PVC is here and here, and the air duct is back. So this way is kind of open. The stud is right here. The other stud is over here. So I measured 2 inches down just to be safe, and I measured 1.5 inches over just to be safe. And then even then, when I trace, I'm going to do some pen and I'm going to trace this outline. Even then, I'm going to stay within the outline. I don't think I want any room for this cutout to be too big. So I'm going to maybe go 1/8 of an inch in or whatever outside of my, when I'm cutting by hand. And then, there'll be an outline at the end of the day, but the big panel will cover all that up and you won't see any of it, so who cares. But I would rather this hole be slightly too small, because you can always take away material but you can't add it. So I'm going to trace this out. I'm going to drill some holes so I can play connect the dots, and then take this panel out, and hopefully I can just pop in the plastic piece. I have to be careful right around here because, like I said, the PVC pipe's right here, so maybe I'll have to do little short jabs, not long, because I don't want to, last thing I want to do is cut the PVC pipe, which that hand blade will do. So, or even scar it for that matter. I don't want to scar it either, so just gonna have to be careful when I get over here. So that's what's going on.
So while I was drilling the holes to play connect the dots, I got the idea to put 2 piano wires on the outermost holes that I had made, just to see where they would show up within the cavity, see if I can see them. So I took a picture from the basement up, and I can only see the 1 piano wire. The other thing that's nice about it is I got to see how close it was to the stud, but the other one I assumed was behind the PVC pipe, so I pressed on and finally got the panel out. If you're in a situation like me, be careful not to drop the panel inside a wall for whatever reason. So as I took precaution there, but then I finally got it out, and here, I'll show you what it looks like here.
So you can see here, pipes right there. Cool. So I didn't hit it. It's a lot farther back than I thought it was. Studs right over here. Studs right over there. So we're good. And then, yeah, I mean, so now I can put the access panel here. I'm gonna put my template up there somehow, some way. Get my hand drill up there, drill a hole. Call it a day. Cool. Just make sure I don't drop my tool down the hole, because then that'll be fun getting it out. So, but this is cool. This is exciting.
So obviously when I'm drilling the hole, I'm not going to have the drywall panel up there, but I wanted to see if it fit and what it looked like. So here's installation of that.
Goes up like that. Push. Boom. Not bad. Not bad at all. And it doesn't, yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's not coming. I mean, maybe it'll come out if I yank on it, but it'll slide left and right, but I knew that.
So I obviously popped the panel back off and continued to drill up, but before it did that, I actually put the template up and shot a piano wire up through that piece of plywood, because I wanted to see if I could see it up in the attic hole in that second floor cavity. That would have indicated to me that that was the only piece of plywood I had to go through, and that there wasn't an extra 12 inches that I thought I'd seen. So, but unfortunately, I didn't get to see it, which told me, yeah, those 12 inches were still there. So I could only assume it was floor joists between the first floor ceiling and the second floor subfloor. So.
Okay, so I was up in the attic and I shoved the fish wire down that little hole there that I made, and I didn't see my piano wire, and it, like I said, it was probably 2 or 3 feet long. So that tells me that there's a cavity between the 2 pieces of plywood, which I guess makes sense. It's the subfloor on the second floor, and then the ceiling for the stairwell or the first floor, I guess. So I guess that makes sense.
I go on to express how nervous I was drilling blind, but I had the template, piano wire, so I pressed forward, and then to make sure I didn't drop my drill down that big empty space there, I had a little trick for that too. So
I have my drill, and I made a little catch rope so that if I accidentally drop the drill in the wall, I can fish it up. So, and I got this rope, I don't know, it's probably 10 feet. So I would make sure it's at least as long as your wall, right? In case you bottom out. And I'm gonna tie this to the ladder.
so I was good to go. So I drilled through the first floor's ceiling, and I actually stopped there and put my phone up there just to make sure there wasn't anything between the two pieces of plywood. Heaven forbid there was a floor joist right in my way. Murphy's Law would have dictated that, but luckily nothing was there. So as you can see here.
So, I mean, it looks like I'm okay to go up through. I'm not seeing any, well, there's right there, but it's to the side, I think, and then nothing over there, so. Alright, cool.
So here's a good trick I use when drilling into the second
I'm actually
subfloor.
going to use this piece of wood as I'm hoping like a guideline so that I'm relatively straight. So I'm going to pop that piece of wood out and I'm going to put it around the shaft of this guy here. And I'm going to use it as a guide through the first hole. So before I start drilling the second one, I'll see if I can show you what I mean by that. So. Alright, so this is what I mean by that. So I'm going to actually put this on the drill, right? And then this is going to keep this, from moving around in the hole too much. So it's a nice little guide to keep it steady. And this should obviously line up perfectly with the hole I just drilled. So that's just something I'm going to do. So also, I think this is another tip and trick. If you want to enlarge a hole that is already pretty big, I think you just would use the piece that you could cut out. So, but anyways, so we'll see how this works.
So obviously you don't have a very good view of seeing what's going on, but it ended up working out really, really well. So I would highly suggest if you're in a situation like me where you actually have to drill up through a pre-existing hole to get to a second hole, use the piece that you got from the boring bit on the first drill go around. So, and use it as a guide to help you through the second one. So I didn't have any wobble whatsoever, and I basically lined up perfectly into the second subfloor. So.
All the way through.
Alright, so up in the attic, I actually got a flashlight downstairs in the basement shining up. So let's move this to the side here.
So basically, if I saw a white light through the hole, that meant I'd see the flashlight in the basement, which you can see it right there, white light. So that means that I did it. I ended up getting all the way through all of the pieces of plywood that I needed to, and ended up making my own little raceway up to the attic from the basement. So now in the future, whenever I'm running the Ethernet, I can now run my wiring up straight into the attic and not have to worry about finding some weird way of doing it. So
Hey, if you made it all the way to the end here, thank you for sticking around. Hopefully this was helpful to you, gave you some ideas. Sorry I couldn't really show you the raw footage, it was just too long. But some things I did mention in that I didn't really commentate was the different route that I could have picked, but I won't get into that right now. But what I will say is I wouldn't have used that drywall access panel, that 8" by 8", because I would have had to done that in my child's bedroom closet up on the second floor and drilled down. So what I would have done to be a little more discreet with that is I actually probably would have done like a low voltage pass through gang thing. I forget what they're called, but it's plastic. It's about that big. The tabs rotate in, and it acts as something you could just put like a cover plate on, as if it were an outlet or a light switch or something. But nothing's there. There's no electrical box back behind it. So I would have done something like that, and then I would have put a flexible bit down and gotten into the subfloor on the second floor that way. So that's just another idea you could use. But anyways, before you do anything, map your route out as much as possible, because you don't want to play trial and error with your house to try and find the best route to go all the way from your basement up into your attic. So measure twice, cut once, and wear your safety glasses, and hopefully this video was helpful. Thanks for sticking around.